All right, so let's go do this, Jeff. All right. Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Man, today I'm really excited. I'm always excited to do a podcast episode, but today is really somebody who I really is my one of my friends. He's a Jedi. He's just really so special. He's also the director of the Dragonfly. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I am so excited to welcome Jeff Purdue Atkins. How
Oh
are
my
you
God.
doing?
Dave, I so thank you for having me on today. You are one of the most amazing people I know, one of my really close friends, and just being here is just such an honor and
Yeah,
such a joy.
and one of the reasons why when we were talking earlier, um, I said I have to get you on before I get Michael Faber on, right? Because he's also like send me a link. I'm like I send links. I do all these things. It's really easy, especially
Mhm.
people that I care about. I will always make time for. And then when we were talking earlier, I said, man, let's just make that happen today. So
There we
I
go.
am so excited, and we'll get it out. So how are you doing, Jeff? Give me just a 5 second. I know what's going on, but why don't you give the audience a 5 second of who you are, what you do, and what's going on?
My name is JP Atkins or Jeff Purdue Atkins. Um, I am, I call myself the Freedom Jedi because I help people break free from their default life and actually start living something that's truly awesome that's they don't need a vacation from, and it's really about installing a new operating system for yourself, and I call those the freedom systems.
Mhm.
And right now I'm so excited because I have a daily devotional coming out on September 10th, which is my birthday. So for my birthday I'm giving you guys all a present, and it really does go through everything. It's a beast. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's wonderful. This year has been challenges. I'm sure that Dave and I will get into, um, and it's just really a beautiful expression of everything that's happened in the last 10 years for me. So I'm so honored and that you guys get to see this, and I know it's going to change people's lives.
Okay, well, you've said and you've shared a little bit about it with me privately, but I want to hear exactly what it's more than just a devotional, right? I don't even know what I would call it because it's more than just a devotional. Like a devotional, it's like, hey, I'm going to spend 5 minutes. Here's a couple of affirmations. Thanks, on my way. It's between coffee and other things, but this is something that you're going to spend some time with. This is something you're going to get to spend time with yourself. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, each day, it is a 5 minute with your coffee. Like I've been telling everybody, when you put this in is with your morning coffee. Pour your coffee, open it up for today, but you're going to think about this the rest of the day. This isn't something that you're just going to put down and go, "Oh, I read that," and then be. It's
Right.
going to work on you all day. Just each concept each day has a different concept and a different way of thinking about a certain topic, a certain attribute of life. And each month has a theme. So, for instance, right now we're in authentic expansion. It's about expanding with roots. Um, for because this does tie into my coaching program, which is the Freedom Systems Odyssey. So each month has a different flavor that we're looking in. Different lens in your life. We're getting ready to go into set it up September, set it right September. And what that does is it really makes you look at your life and where you are for the year. We've made plans in January, and now we're in the last quarter. So what are we really doing to get our goals out? Are they aligned with our dharma? Are they aligned with who we are? Are they really have we really done had some concepts that you made these things in January not knowing all that you know now? So how do you set that back and like check, okay, is this right? Is this what I want? Is this where, what do I want for the rest of the year? What do I want for my life in general? and I do this every September because it's my birthday. So obviously, and I set it in, I literally put it into the book that way also. And we really look at everything. How are your relationships? What kind of relationships are you in? What's your relationship with you? What kind of integrity pieces? And when I say integrity, guys, do not mix that up with morality. They're completely different. Integrity means whole and complete. So are you doing what you said you do, what you know to do, and mostly for yourself? Because the problem is that we make all these promises to ourselves and then we don't follow through. And then we start feeling like, we're a failure. We don't, we can't do things. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, just, one day you realize that now you have anxiety. One day you realize you're depressed because, you've eroded your own confidence in you so much to the point where it's between me and you. You
And
erode your conversations. Yeah.
yeah, and it's always between you and you. I mean,
Right.
when we start off when it's between you and you, there's integrity right there also. Is not only making the commitments to other people, but
Hmm.
it's also making the commitments to ourselves. So integrity is more, like I always go, integrity is one of those things when nobody's looking. Who are
Hmm.
you when nobody's looking? Do you kick the cat when nobody's looking? And all those things are the power that we really have.
Yeah.
And when we use those powers in different ways, that's where that becomes who we are, becomes our default.
Hmm.
Right? I'm using the Jedi, and we can go into Star Wars. I know you're a big guy, but like Luke, right? At the end of the day, he was questioning the Jedi, integrity of how they went about it, right? Just because you're doing something good, perspective, and that's really what I'm going to go with this is the perspective of things. You could be a good guy, but just let bad things happen to other people, or you could be somebody who speaks up and what do you do? So with this devotional, since you called it, but what type of things am I going to see in the devotional?
You're gonna really question everything. So one of the big things that I talk about all the time is that you have to question everything. And it doesn't mean that everything's wrong, because there's nothing wrong here. Nothing is wrong. It just works or doesn't work.
Right.
So,
Recognizing what works for us is huge, and not
right,
everybody does that. When they go, this is how I've done it all the time, and I always ask my famous question, how's that working for you?
yeah, because it often doesn't.
Right.
Often doesn't. You know, and it keeps people stuck. It keeps people stuck in jobs that they hate. It keeps people stuck in relationships that aren't working because this is how they've done it. And we don't get divorces in our
Right.
family. I've heard that. We don't get divorces in our family. And I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, well, you guys are a train wreck. You need a divorce. um, or choose to love each other, because that's a choice too. Love them with this, because of all the things that drive you crazy. Love your life because that's all the things that drive you crazy.
Right.
It is a profound shift in how you look at your life, how you look at yourself. We go into sex. We have locked in October. We talk about your triggers, and as with we go through fuckboy mentality, right? And I'm sorry, I swearing on your
Yeah,
podcast.
you're fine. Anybody who's in my audience knows me at least, and that's just the way we speak.
Exactly. So we have this whole fast food idea of sex these days. You can dial up, you can. I joked all the time. It's so much easier for me to get a blowjob right now than it is for me to get a hug. Like really, truly, with the apps, even Facebook dating now, um, just everything that you do has this like, I need this right now, and you're not creating the connections, and you're not even knowing what you need yourself, and it becomes this dopamine rush that we get addicted to,
Mhm.
and it ends up being just totally being vapid. It's like eating fast food every day. That's how I put it. We don't create the relationship. We don't actually make our food. We
Right.
don't actually make our relationships. We don't actually take the time to put the time into our relationships. And pushing like on a post doesn't help anything.
No, 100%. A like. If you're worried about likes, that's the wrong thing to do.
Mhm.
I don't know any other way around that because it's not about the likes. It's about the connections. I mean, that's where um your devotional. So how's your devotional going to tie into your Dragonfly center?
Actually, it's amazing. We do have a private channel that you'll be able to go in and actually discuss. Each day, there's a little prompt to ask you a question. You know, again, you are going to be thinking about this during the day.
Okay, so
There's nothing, there you will be thinking about this. It is designed for you to like look at your life, take this on today, excuse me, look at your life and just know. And you might want to talk about that with somebody. And so you can just go into the Dragonfly Center. There's a dedicated channel for you and talk to people that are going through it at the same time, right? It's a daily devotional. It's literally there's one set up for today. You would go in and you could say, hey, this is what came up for me today, or answer the question that's there. How did this come up? How is it going on? And have that conversation with people. And that's so powerful. And you always know that Sanctuary is there for you to clear anything that is on your chest and have a conversation. We're always there for you. Um, Also in my coaching program, you can move it up so that we have some more one-on-one time and more dedicated time. We go deeper into all these topics uh, and really clean out a lot of the things that come up.
yep. Well, so okay, because I know what Dragonfly is, and I know what Sanctuary is. Let's talk. Let's dive in because between the devotional, uh, and I want to get back into the devotional, but I want since we're using all these concepts, I want everybody to really get to know Jeff and what he's doing.
Yeah,
So how that intertwines, I understand it, but nobody needs to call Dave to explain it.
right.
What is Dragonfly?
So the orange
And
dragonfly.
why is it Dragonfly?
Oh, no, that's two completely different questions. The first
Okay.
one is, what is the Orange Dragonfly Center? It is right now it's an online community. We're working on having the physical location. Um, and I started looking at property again. I said I
I
wasn't going to for 4 years, and I was like, you know what? That's just
that's what
wrong.
you're supposed to do.
Right.
It will come at the right time and at the right place.
Right. And it was one of those. Um, I was supposed to do something for the summer that ended up not happening. I've had a lot of loss this year. My mom passed away in December. My father passed away in July, and so we really had things had to move and change, and what I was doing, how I was focusing. And about a week ago, when I realized I'm probably if I do go where I was going to go for the summer, it's kind of like a beach town.
Hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily make sense for me to go there, other than the fact that I have really great friends there. It would be a beautiful experience. Don't get me wrong, but I'm probably not staying there that long. It gets cold. I don't want to be in cold, and I don't have to. I live in a. If you guys don't understand, I live in a trailer. I live in
I'm moving home.
a moving home, and I can be anywhere, and there's no reason for me to be somewhere that's cold unless I'm here with my family. And at this point, I think I've done my stuff with my family that I needed to do. I feel complete right now. Um, but the Orange Dragonfly Center is it. We have an online community. We have different events. You think of it as a community center.
Hmm.
We have different things that go on pretty much almost every day now. I'm missing one day. One day. I need somebody on Wednesdays. We'll figure it out. I have plenty of people that are buying for spots, and we talk about all the things. It's not necessarily. technically it's a Jedi center. You don't have to be Jedi to be there, obviously. Um, I am a Jedi cleric. I am a licensed Jedi cleric. I actually am ordained in the Jedi
Well,
faith.
let's talk about that because when we talk about Jedi, right, we think of Star Wars,
Yeah.
and of course that's probably where it originates from. But let's
Mm-hmm.
really talk about what that means in practicality.
In practicality, they created a religion around um, the work of Joseph Campbell and Alan Watts and others, which is the framework for which George Lucas wrote the Jedi. Really,
Right.
um,
The hero's journey.
the hero's journey and the monomyth. It really is when everything boils down to few key things, right? And everything else is just practice, how you practice, right? And there's obviously, I'm not going to minimize anyone else's religion. I actually took an oath that you can believe whatever the hell you want to believe.
Yep.
I'm not here to tell you this is the way, right? As the Mandalorian say, this is the way. Um, but it comes down to the universal truths. Everything comes down to what does it look like? We are all connected. So if you want to believe that, however you want to believe that, right down to we all touch this earth and we are all touching the earth and it's
Yep.
connected. We breathe the same air, the same water rains on us
Mhm.
eventually.
Yep.
Um, we believe there's a guiding force in there. Okay. It connects between all of us. It's very Taoist or Buddhist have the same kind of ideas. Confucianism has the same
Hmm.
philosophy. Um, so for me, it's a very Eastern religion. And it talks about finding that balance between you. We talk about even in the devotional, we talk about the dance between action and inaction. We talk about the nothing's wrong because at the end of the day, it's just a choice.
Right. Well, and what do you mean by inaction or not inaction or action?
So action, obviously we're going to go in. I'm on this call. That's an action,
Hopefully.
right? Hopefully this is an action. Um, I could get up right now from this call and do something else. I will, I need to clean the house. I need to do some things. Inaction would be just letting it happen. Inaction is allowing, having yourself in a space where your flow actually directs you where you want to go. Because there's two kinds of flow, right? There's go with the, there's just this flow where you might be scrolling for 6 hours, right? And there's the flow of I'm going to be on this podcast and let's see where it goes.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
having that inaction and not doing the things that you know to do, again, it comes back to integrity.
Mhm.
Has doing the things that you know to do, doing what's expected of you to do, um, doing what you say you would do, and doing it with a empowering context. Because no one wants to be talk to that teenager that got asked to take out the trash,
Right.
and we treat our lives that way,
Yeah, and we can resist or we choose not to resist.
right? So, what does it look like
But is
if
resistance always bad?
resistance isn't always bad, but it's the problem is we don't want to make the choices,
Right. Yeah, why are we resisting and things like that?
right? So we're not gonna examine that, and then the resistance is because maybe we're afraid to say no, maybe we're afraid to say yes.
Hmm.
Right now I'm dating somebody, and my niece is trying to marry us off. Right? She's turning 19. It's cute. It's great. And it's that asking why not? Why am I resisting this? What's behind that? What is missing right now in this relationship?
Right.
because we've been dating about 5 months. So like logically, this could, start coming up at this point, right? So what's missing? Why is that not there? Why am
Right.
I not an enthusiastic yes? And so that resistance is a space for you to question. Why am I resisting? Do I need to say no? Am I afraid to say no? Am I afraid to say yes?
Right.
Those things are
It's that introspection,
yeah,
and that sounds like what a lot of the devotional is going to be is the introspection. You get to ask yourself questions. It's not a report back to Jeff while
no,
Jeff has the tools to take us to that next level. Uh, it's intended for self introspection versus leading, like, here you go, read this book and then I'm the answer. That
yeah,
it's like, hey, if you need some other questions, then go for it. I could talk to you about it, but if you don't, that also is going to be fine.
yeah. And really, in all reality, I'm on this path too.
Mhm.
I'm not. I'm not guru on high. I will promise you, I am not guru on high
Yeah,
ever. If you ever think of me saying that like that, please tell me. Listen here, guru,
yeah.
because I promise that is not where I'm coming from.
Right,
Um,
where's your mountain, and I'm going to roll you down it. Yeah.
right. I am. I'm on this practice too, and it's a daily practice. It's keeping yourself in the mindset of moving forward. It's changing that operating system. And sometimes they get viruses. I was talking earlier to Dave, and all of my fears showed up.
Yep.
Every single one of them showed up. Everything that I think about myself, all the negative stuff I think about myself was all right there. And luckily, I have we that safe space in sanctuary where we can actually say that. And we can say what's there so that I can look at it and I can say, "Oh, that's all my fears. That's all my negative. That's my dad looking at my last book and handing it back to me without saying anything.
Yep.
That's my brother telling me when I was like in high school that I suck singing as I'm winning awards
Right.
and me believing my brother.
Yeah,
You know,
people suck. Not always. I don't want to make it sound so negative, but but we believe so much of what other people tell us.
mhm,
Um, or we do. As humans, we feel those things. We feel those parts of us that need something.
yeah.
How do you flow through that? I mean,
Nope.
like for me, it was like I joked with you that earlier. I go, it's so tough because in sanctuary, you're not supposed to coach, and I'm like, man, shut my mouth, shut my mouth. It's hard. It's hard, not because I just want to shut my mouth, but it's because I know how challenging it could be, and because I care about you,
Mhm.
um, it's just so hard. But so, how do you do it when you hear all those the less good things that might pop up?
For me, or when I'm working with others, if I'm in sanctuary, I have to do the same thing. There are many days where we've had many conversations in sanctuary where I've wanted to, because part of the idea of sanctuary is that there is no crosstalk.
Mm.
Now you can bring up what it like if something brings up something for you, you can say, "Hey, that brings up this for me," and you can talk about it, but you can't coach them because your experience is your experience and it's perfect, whole, and complete as it is,
Sure.
right? It's not wrong. It's just where they are in the moment. This morning was not wrong for me.
No, no.
It was where I was. And then I looked at it and I hung up and I'm like, wow, I'm in this space right now. And it all is fear based. I'm launching something huge. I'm launching something that's taken me 5 years to create. It's not a little like, oh, I just threw it out there.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT for XYZ.
Right. This is something I wrote for 5 years. It's been reworked twice. Just the formatting took me 3 weeks, and I'm a formatter. So what normally takes me about an hour and a half for most novels, it took me 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know, It's huge.
Very
365 days.
personal. So you have
Yeah.
a very personal journey. So
Yes.
it's and this book. I mean, your journey. Tell us a little bit about your journey, just so they know a little bit more about you.
Yeah. So for me, this all started. My mom was very sick for quite a few years. She came and lived with me and my ex. Um, right about the same time. Well, no, she moved in with me and my ex. About 2 months later, my ex, who was on drugs, and he stole our rent money, and I said that was it. So had this whole thing. So my relationship fell apart right about the same time. I'm taking care of my mom, and my mom started getting um, declining at that point for a minute. For about a year, she got pretty bad to the point I was really afraid. And in that year, my brother died. And then I was working with the Spiritual Life Center of Ferndale, which was a beautiful, beautiful experience. Um, After having years of not having any kind of faith,
Hmm.
really, I had a falling out. I'm gay. I had a falling out with the church. The typical, story. I didn't know I was gay when I had the falling out. I just knew that you couldn't say what he was saying from where he was saying it.
Mm.
It was just foul, like in the hatred and the venom that just. And I'm like, you can't say that here. Like, that's like,
Yeah,
what are you
you're talking
saying?
about peace and love, but that's not peace and love.
Right, at all, at all. And I realized, and it took me many years to find out what I believe or how I believe or if I believe. Um, and as I said, my ex was gone. My mom was getting sicker and sicker. My brother passed away. The Spiritual Life Center closed. The company that I was trying to launch never really made it off the ground. It was a different social media platform, and really, I didn't know what I was doing. You know,
Yeah,
um,
we all learn different at different stages, but you were getting a lot of life at that point,
I was seeing a lot of life,
and
and
with
so it
that,
just
but
became.
I don't want to. You've mentioned your brother twice, and I want to honor that, but also I that's where the butterfly, the
Dragonfly. Yes.
dragonfly, sorry, the dragonfly comes in. So I'd love you to explain how that the period of your life while you're going through those things turns into dragonfly.
Yeah, so my brother, he was sick from he was another one. He was sick. He had full-blown AIDS. He had full-blown AIDS pretty much from the beginning. He never had HIV. He got very sick very rapidly. None of the drugs ever worked, and he was on all of them at some point. And every time they switch him over, they had to wait a couple months before they switched to a different one. He would lose T cells every time, and he might get a little boost, but he would have every side effect for everything. So it was a very challenging time, and he got, and towards the end, we knew it was the end. So in October, they were switching his medication again. The pharmacy by me had it, and the pharmacy by him did not. So he said, "Hey, can you pick this up for me real quick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll pick that up, no problem." You know, and took it down to him, and we had that conversation. The one that it's the end is near,
Hmm.
like everything that you had to say. And my cousin had just passed away, and I swear he comes to me as bees, um, and especially at that time. And I said, "All right, well, I have a theory. I have a theory that we get to play when we die. So do me a favor, if I'm right and you can play, come to me as a dragonfly. I don't see those often." Okay. So fast forward, he dies in June, and I'm delivering dry cleaning at the time. So I'm out on my route right after he passed away. It was my first day back to work, and I was the only one that could do this job. So I worked, and I'm by myself anyways. I'm delivering dry cleaning. It doesn't freaking matter. I thought I get to this house and there's a swarm of dragonflies.
Hmm.
One lands on a leaf and looks up at me. There's nothing you could say to me. Nothing you could say to me that doesn't say that's not my brother. Nothing you could say to me. Let me take pictures because people wouldn't believe me.
Right. There's certain moments, like I had a moment like that where you and I've shared. I didn't have a great relationship with my dad, and I've mentioned that before. But when I bought the house that I'm living in right now, it was at the one of the lowest moments of my life. I know that sounds ironic, but I'm sitting on the front step, and a brown butterfly comes by me
Hmm.
and sat for 15 minutes with me.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know it's my father, and nobody would believe me. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with nobody believing me. But then it's just sitting there with its wings opening up, closing, and I'm crying. I'm like, I know it's you, you son of a
Hmm.
bitch. I know he's
Yeah.
trying to help me in the way that he could at that time, but I took a picture of it. I was able to take a picture. Once I took the picture, it left. But that it was like for so long. I'm like, okay, I know the second I reach for my phone, talking to it, I know
Yeah.
the second I'm gonna reach to my phone, you're gonna fly.
Hmm.
Okay, I know now the second. Nope, took the picture and boom.
He, I literally heard in my head, "Are you done yet?" Which is so my brother.
Yep.
It was so my brother, and I'm like, I guess so. Thank you. And he flew off.
Yeah, there's
And I,
there's a power. They are with us. I mean,
yeah.
you do, and I've done some mediumship work. They are with us.
Hmm.
What we recognize and things, the forms, the signs aren't always there. We sometimes we do fit in. Oh, the sun rose. They always liked, or the general cardinals. Yeah,
Yeah.
people, but the bees, the dragonflies. There are
Hmm.
pieces of messages that are always coming around to us. So, and I know this past year you've experienced some grief, and then we've had some sit downs around that. And grief is very personal.
Grief is always personal, and never let anyone tell you how to grieve ever, or what you should be feeling. Um, it's very strange because it was two different experiences for me. Because when my mother passed, it was very devastating. My mom, who was sick, she's been sick for years, but she wasn't dying at the time. My dad was. So my dad, who was dying for 3 years, outlasted her. And so it was although it wasn't shocking, it was still a shock. And my mother was the nurturer. She was the caring one. She was there. She was more of a profound impact on my life. Whereas my father, when he passed, it was um, almost relief because he was so trapped inside that body,
Hmm.
and it was a relief when he passed because he had he his brain was there and he couldn't really move, he really couldn't talk, he couldn't like communicate very well, and but he was there, and so it was the most frustrating thing in the world. You just wanted to say, just say something, like,
Yep.
but it hurt and you couldn't really hear him, and he was weak and his body was failing, and so it was just a different experience, both profoundly life changing, life altering though. um,
Does the devotional go into discussions around grief?
it does go into grief, it does go into, we talk about, one of the things we talked about is there's nothing left unsaid.
Mm. that is powerful. Yeah, you
As I
know.
was saying with my brother, there was nothing left unsaid. We had that conversation. It was difficult. We weren't always nice to each other. My brother threw all my shit on the lawn one day when I was living with him. I didn't let him stay with me and my partner when he needed to. Um, Although I've lived with him like 6 or 7 times, it's one of my big regrets of life. You know what I mean? But my partner said no, and it was his house.
Mm.
So, and I probably could have fought for it, but I didn't. And I can't go back and go, oh my goodness, I didn't do all this stuff, and I can beat myself up all I want, but it doesn't change anything. But what I could do is get it cleaned up with him. And so what I did is we had those conversations. We had all the conversations. And he had his regrets, I had my regrets, we're human, we're family. At this point we're both in, 40s, 30s, 40s. It's, we've had all that life together.
Sure.
And we were close. Um my brother passing was much more um impactful for me than my father.
Mm.
Um
Yeah, sure.
we were just that close. And my mom, having the conversations we had, I asked her back when we lived together. I said, "Are you living or dying, Mom?
Mm.
You tell me, and I will act accordingly." And I understand both sides. She had um, post she had everything, but she had neuralgia. Is one of the things she had, so she was always in pain, no matter what. And we tried to change her diet some. She didn't want to really change her diet. Like she wouldn't really do the things that she needed to do, and that was one of my big frustrations. But we really worked to get her well after that conversation. And she was to the point where I got to move into the RV because she was well enough to live on her own
Mm.
for about 3 years. So, there was a lot that went into that. But having those conversations, being able to say, hey, this is where we are. This is what do you need from me? And we had those conversations probably with my mom at least once a month. What's there for you? Is there anything there for you? Is there anything that's missing?
Well, I think that's really who you are, to ask those questions internally, and then with those that are around us. And to me, that's what, among the things that Jeff brings to the world is that safe space, that safe, soft space of getting to know who you are. One of his favorite questions is what does this bring to you? Not let me see how I could help you. Again, that's
Mhm.
uh, the powerful part of what Jeff brings.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when you're doing that, that's some powerful parts. So I know we're gonna wrap up soon. Jeff, your video's off. There you go. Now your video's back on. It was
I
just
didn't touch anything. That's funny.
okay. Well, we were just talking about your brother, your mom, and
all,
a couple of
all
things.
the people. So of course I'm kind of like, yo, I'm not talking
Hey,
about this
yeah,
anymore.
right, right. No. They're going, hey. You're gonna talk about me. I'm gonna
Right.
make sure that it becomes different. But that's the real powerful part. Now you've given us a lot of things. I can't wait for the devotional book to come out.
Hmm.
I think we're gonna call it differently. When I think of a devotional, um, it sounds very religious based,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to ask you really about it. But there's some activities in there. There's some. Tell us
It's a
what else is in there, so so people can see, because you said it's coffee, but you're going to do it during the day. And I know what's in it.
Yeah. So basically, it starts out with a couple paragraphs, like kind of introducing a concept. Okay. Then we have your awesome practice of the day. So it's just something that you might put into practice. Like notice whenever you want to numb. So
Mhm.
if we're in shower being numb, when is it that you're trying to not feel something? one of the things that we talk about a lot in this is you have to feel the feelings.
Yep.
And we do so many different things to not feel feelings, from scrolling on Facebook to, doing drugs and alcohol. So what is your numbing? How are you trying to numb? How are you getting away from whatever it is that you're feeling? We talk about that a lot. So the awesome practice might be, notice when you want to numb.
Hmm.
Notice when you want porn. Notice when, there's, depending on what we're talking about. What is it? It might be create an integrity list. We talked about an integrity list during sanctuary today, just depending where we are. And then there's something that there's some kind of nightly reflection. So what did that open up for you?
Right.
Where are you, and we have a mantra for each day. We have a weekly mantra. So we're just to kind of
Keep you moving
figure,
along the
keep
process.
you
Yeah.
moving, keeping you in
I mean,
in your
it
mind.
sounds it sounds so deep, this book, that I can't wait to get my hands on it, and then show people that I've done it for whatever reason to support you.
Yeah.
I know we
And
talked earlier about supporting. Um, so as we're wrapping up, what's one thing you want to leave with us for right now? Since you're a returning guest, we'll put you on again. But
yeah,
for right now, what's something that you'd like to leave us with?
guys, you are perfect, whole, and complete just as you are.
Mm,
There's nothing you have to do or fix. There's nothing you have to do or be or say or to be worthy of love and happiness or to create joy.
that's
Uh,
awesome. Yep,
that's
that's it. That's complete.
that's complete. If everyone in the world could just know that, and then know that there's things that I don't like about me, and there's things I want to put out into the world that I'm not putting out,
Right.
right? So what does it take? And then we can go from there, right? But I'm perfect, whole, and complete. I can sit right here in this chair for the rest of my life and still be worthy of
Of all the things that are
everything.
that are coming to your way, you're coming your
Yep,
way
because I'm worthy of them because I exist.
for sure.
So
And as somebody who is so happy that you exist, and in your form, in the way that I've got to meet you, it's been an honor. Not only as a guest. I mean, a guest is like, yes, but I got to know you, and I get to know you um personally, and sit with you almost every week when my schedule allows, and even that is perfect as well. So thanks, Jeff, so much for everything. I can't wait for your book to come out, and definitely push it out and help in any way that I can. And you just let me know what we could do to support you and Dragonfly. And I'm going to keep attending the sanctuary, the safe space, the sanctuary, when we'll give a shout out to the other one of the other Constance Bernil. So we'll let her know that we love and appreciate her, of what we do, and all the different communities that support us. It's the people around us and the people we choose to call family, not the people who are our blood family. So I thank you for being part of my family, Jeff. You shut off your audio. So, man, you're getting a lot of technical stuff today, man. Here we go.
it always it's gonna be fun. So I just appreciate you. You are such a light in the world, and as I've gotten to know you,
It went out again. As I got to know you, it went out, man. The universe will not allow any.
Things for Dave, like hello. Um, but I'm so honored and so blessed to see the light that you're putting in the world. What you really do put out there, people don't even understand all the things that you're doing. So thank you. Thank you for being that person for people, for me personally, for me.
Well, thank you, and everybody else. Thank you. I'd like to get to know everybody better. Uh, it's always good, and that's why we love these type of conversations, getting to know people better. I mean, I said to Jeff, yeah, of course, I'd love to have you on and guest for your book. You've been on it, and he didn't remember, and it's been a while. But what it is just getting to know him better. The person who I know now is, I might have even asked some of the same questions. If we look back and compare and all that
Mhm.
crap, but it's on a deeper level now, and that shows growth, and that shows who we are individually as well as a collective. And thank you for allowing the safe space that you bring, and for everybody else, I hope you get your spot, your safe space, because that's the real important part. And that's where it leads into the peace, love, and bring a bat. So I do wish you peace and love, and hit your sweet spot. Hit what that is for you, that safe space, that's safe where you're complete and perfect, as Jeff just told us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.